Hold on. It was a great beginning. Just tell me when you're ready. I'm going to hit it.
Okay. You can hit it now.
Good.
Yeah.
Good evening, all. Gary Gabagool here with my boy Sal for our 16th edition of the Red Podcast. And what's up, everybody? Sal and I had an easy decision tonight in order what song to pick for this podcast. So we're going with Metallica, Master of Puppets. And after this week,
it's all up in the air right now. Does anyone know who's pulling the strings? I don't think anyone does.
There is some heavy-duty shit going on, people, and some of the things Sal and I are going to discuss are factual, and then some other things we have are things we usually don't do, but they're very worth looking into because they're speculative right now. But when we go through them, they're going to have a lot of ties, and this shit is all intertwined. It's like, holy moly!
It's all speculative, and it's like the reason that it comes up. Why do people even come up with these? If it is fake news, what is the whole tie? And I mean, there's got to be a deeper meaning to all this fake news,
right?
Like, why are people just creating it? There's got to be a meaning to it. There's got to be a hint of truth behind it. It's like when you say something messed up to somebody and you take it back. Oh, I really didn't mean it, but you know there was a hint of truth behind it, even though like. You know, it was fucked up, and I take it back, and I didn't mean it, but there was some of it that you did.
Right.
So it was just like.
So what Sal and I are going to do, we're going to hit into a couple things, and the first story we're going to talk about this is going to be difficult to kind of navigate through because it's so complicated, but I'm going to try to do the best and easiest job I could with it without confusing the shit out of everybody. But
it's pretty deep.
It's really deep. There was a husband and wife team. They're lawyers in Jacksonville, Florida. They work for the district attorney's office. She's an Asian woman. Her name's Elizabeth Lee, and she's married to a guy named Jared Beck. So she came on InfoWars, which Sal watches quite a bit, and I've been watching also. And I'm going to have to try to work through this as best as I can, but I'm just going to give you the Cliff Note version of it. But here's the crazy part. 3/4 of the way through the interview, Elizabeth Li Beck literally breaks down and starts crying hysterically. And the interviewer wasn't Alex Jones. It was one of his colleagues, and I don't know his name.
Probably Olin.
Yeah, younger guy. And he felt really bad. And at the end of the interview, but here's the story. We all know about the dude named Barrington Wissenhurt, who was the man that washed up on Broward County. He had his head bashed in.
Former lawyer.
Yeah, he was a former district attorney lawyer, and he was investigating the Clinton fraud case into the voting. So this guy shows up dead in Broward County. But here's what's weird: he works and lived in Jacksonville, Florida. So how this is important is Elizabeth Lee and Jared Beck worked with Barrington Wissenhurt. High here, and they said they knew of him, but their friends or really good friends of him, and he was. By all accounts, he was a really good man. Okay. So their boss is a guy named Jay Platkin, who's the deputy director of the state of attorney. He's been there since '93.
Florida.
Yeah, and he worked there, and he had over 100 attorneys and 300 support staff working for him. Now, here's where everything gets convoluted. His father-in-law is a guy named Harvey Schlesinger, who was the judge on the case. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but the district attorney's office of Florida filed suit against the Clinton Foundation because of this fraud division.
Yeah, it was Wasserman Schultz.
Yes,
Who else?
Wasserman Schultz, Clinton Foundation.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was all them.
It was all them.
It was like over a weekend, like
exactly.
On Friday. And no
late Friday,
yeah.
Exactly. And the media never talked about it. Well, on June 8th, about 2 weeks ago, here's what happened. Let me give you a caveat. These people who were ready to testify and bring charges on Wasserman Schultz, Clinton Foundation, they filed for federal witness protection. Harvey Schlesinger denied them protection. Wow. Then on June 8th, he drops the case completely. So Jay Plotkin, who's in charge of the district attorney's office, is his son-in-law. So this woman is crying because she said, I'm just a lawyer. I don't want to really be involved in all this, but this stuff fell in my lap because I guess the way it went down was Barrington Wissenhurt was worried for his life and gave the notes to their friend, who then passed it on to them.
I think at this point, anybody who even works with them is going to like take secretive notes and just
Without a
extra
doubt.
stuff and pass it off to loved ones and stuff, just in case at this point. Like,
And now this is some deep state shit, people, like black deep state shit, because there's something that came out about this, which I know nothing about, but I looked it up and it's all factual. It's in the notes. They showed them on the broadcast. There's something going on with organ transplants selling on the black market. And the Mayo Clinic, which everybody knows the Mayo Clinic is in Minnesota. I was unaware of this, but there is one in Jacksonville, Florida. And on the board of directors are the Clintons, Tom Brokaw, the NBC broadcaster, the Bushes, Dick Cheney, and Tom Daschle, another congressman. And so the Clinton Foundation is a sponsor of the Mayo Clinic because they had something called the Clinton Health Matters. So what they found was they were black marketing organs.
That's fucked up, man. Like,
holy shit, dude.
It's like the worst nightmare for every person. Like you go to a foreign country, you wake up with blood on the sheets and a fucking kidney missing. Like,
but I'm sitting here rubbing my temples. This is like the what do you call it? This is like X-Files shit.
Yeah, for real.
For real, in real life. And so that was going on in that. Then what happened was Klaus Eberwein, who we talked about, he was the guy from Haiti, the deputy director, who was supposed to testify on last Tuesday. He was killed the Friday previously. He had information that he had sent to Barrington Wissenhurt, and he was killed. Klaus Eberwein wasn't killed in Haiti. He was killed in Florida.
Yeah.
So now you have all these people. He shot up from Florida to talk to this guy. He ends up dead. Klaus Eberwein ends up dead. Then there's another, I guess, what would you want to call it? Like a tentacle to this? Another branch of this is this guy, Peter Smith. Peter Smith was a man who had a terminal illness. I think he was given a year to live. He shows up dead. And they said...
Not from his illness?
No, not from his illness. They said he left a suicide note. And here's where things get interesting. Elizabeth Li Beck states, in the suicide note, he said he does it because he has a $5 million life insurance policy and he wants his family paid off. And her being a lawyer says, wait a second. When someone commits suicide, it makes life insurance null and void.
Yeah, it's common sense.
Exactly. I don't know how they don't know this. Probably don't care, like you said.
Yeah, because in that case, everybody...
Why wouldn't he just wait the year?
Everybody would just fucking kill themselves
Exactly.
or be killed.
So now you're sitting here going, wow, this is some crazy stuff. And this is just stuff that's so evil.
Let's put a word on it. It's straight up evil.
Diabolical.
It's despicable.
It's diabolical. This is like stuff you see on a TV show.
And all just to save face. It was what you said we were talking about the other day. It was like their original crimes didn't even compare to the cover-up that they're doing right now. Because they could have probably they probably could have gone away. Oh, you might have had to leave politics, this, that, the other bullshit.
Absolutely.
And then it just spirals into murder and embezzlement and I'm going to start uranium to Russia.
Exactly.
All this crazy treasonous bullshit. And then they try to cover it up. And then they try to even cover it up even further with their foundations. Holy
so
shit.
People, here's something that we're going to put on our radar. Let's keep a watch. Sal and I will do it for Elizabeth Lee and Jared Beck, because if these people show up dead,
are they going to testify now? Is that what they're saying?
They're supposed to. They're going to get subpoenaed. But what they're doing is this woman was begging,
and this is for the Klaus Eberwein Haiti stuff.
Yeah, and now
I'm just clarifying my mind.
So this woman was at the end of the podcast or the broadcast on InfoWars. She was begging for someone to help her and get involved, and she was literally hysterical, and it was frightening. It was pretty sad to watch.
Videos. Yeah, it was fucked up.
I mean, the woman she looked pretty young.
I know we say InfoWars and people automatically tune out. It's not like you're thinking. Give the guy a shot. Of course, a lot of it is entertainment, but he actually has factual stuff, and sometimes he really does get good guests who know what the fuck they're saying. Like you have to, like any news or any television show, you got to pick and choose what's bullshit and what to watch and where to focus. But I mean, you people are intelligent. We know who you are. You're our listeners.
Yep.
You can figure this out.
This story we just mentioned is 100% factual. The notes were there. The people are dead. Each person who was killed didn't commit suicide. They were murdered. So
yeah, and if you call it suicide, it's like, shot 3 times.
Right.
I get it. Yeah, if you're trying to kill yourself and you fuck up, you're probably gonna try. But 3-4 times you fucking.
I think if you shoot yourself in the head, I don't think you're picking the gun back up and gathering your thoughts and composing yourself and just doing it.
Fucked.
And plus, in the back of the head, I mean,
why wouldn't you do it any? Well, you wouldn't be like, hey, we fucking
listen,
suicide.
People, I'm no coroner, and I'm no FBI investigator, but we know there's 3 ways to commit suicide with a handgun. You're either going to put it in your mouth, you're going to put it under your chin, or you're going to put it to your. You're not. I don't know anyone who's gone like this. It's impossible. It makes no sense. Listen, I don't even care if you want to hit yourself in a hammer. You're not hitting yourself in the back of the head with a hammer. You're hitting yourself in the front. You're not. You're not going like this. It just doesn't make any sense. And Sal brings up a good point when we were talking earlier. He says, and I often wonder. I'm like, they don't even try to make this look legit.
Yeah, no, it's the arrogance of it all. They're just like, you know what? We'll
kill whoever we want.
We're above, and we've gotten away with everything so far.
Yep.
We get away with it so far. And let's just fucking do it how we want now.
Exactly. And
it's getting slippery.
It is now, and you're getting a lot of people.
It's like those. I heard it. I heard this philosophy before. I won't mention who. It was a source online. It's just a total philosophy, not real. That it's like the serial killer philosophy. They get the kicks from doing it.
Yes.
They don't want to get caught, and then they start leaving clues to get the chase. And then by the end, they're just
sloppy.
They're just fucking. They want to get caught. They're just
hacking people up.
And I think this is at the point now. They're just, let's call it a suicide. It's fucking 3 bullets to the back of the head. Like,
I just think I think what happens is when they're sitting at a table like this discussing who they're going to kill. I think they just basically say, fuck it, we're not going to get in trouble.
That's what it is.
And here's the thing that I think if they are so cavalier about it, they'll say, hey, listen, we're going to intimidate the shit out of it. Like this woman, and Sal will attest this, he saw it. She was so completely intimidated and scared. She was petrified, and understandably so. So, and I think they just say, we're going to intimidate the shit out of everybody.
I mean, you guys can call it acting, actors, whatever you want. I mean, this isn't the first time someone has come out and said something like this and said, if I fucking die, if something happened to me, it was them.
Victor Thorne said it. Yeah. He said, I heard his podcast. He said he died. He was killed 3 days later. And he basically flat out said, if I'm killed, the Clintons did it. He said it. Couldn't get any more clear than that. And he ended up dead. No one gave a shit. Exactly. And the funny part is
the news doesn't talk about it. Well, no shit.
They don't.
Shit. They're all fucking paid off by fucking liberal constituents.
That's probably, I mean, of course, these people getting murdered is a frightening and unfortunate, terrible thing.
It's horrible, yeah.
But the thing that is scary, if you're looking at this from an outside point of view, is the media does not say one fucking thing.
It's funny,
not one.
If you look at the media from TV to the media that we see, all the people we get our information from online and from, just reading and going through sources like that, it's polar opposites of what is actually going on in the world.
Yeah.
And it's just like, to the lesser informed American, I feel like a lot of them they're like, we can't even watch fucking TV no more.
We don't.
Because social media is everywhere now and everything is on social media. I feel like they're just, you know what? Everyone on social media is saying this. Only the TV people are saying this. Who do you think is right?
Right.
The majority on social media.
Well, and here's an example of how scary this is. And I'm not talking, we're going to get off this case, but we're just talking in general how scary. My wife was on on Facebook. She was on ABC News. Now, people, we all know that the political executive correspondent is a guy named George Stephanopoulos. George Stephanopoulos used to work for Bill Clinton, and he was working with Hillary Clinton. So think about this, people. He's donated hundreds of thousands, some maybe even millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation. And he is the head of ABC News. So we know where their slant and their narrative is going to be. But my point of the story is my wife, who is incredibly on top of stuff, goes on one of their reports. I don't even know what it was because it's irrelevant at this point, but it was a pro-Clinton report. She goes on and begins to basically rip these people to shreds with facts. She gets attacked by like 20 people, 30 people. And these are all drones who just listen to ABC News. They get their information from nowhere else.
It's funny because all they do is repeat themselves. And
That's
like,
what
all
they
right,
did.
now show me the fact. You're so adamant about this. Show it to me. And then crickets.
They can't.
Crickets.
Right.
No replies. It's just like, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
And
then it's like they obviously,
right.
They probably go do their meth or whatever these fucking retards do and tune out.
Yeah.
But God damn. It's just like, you all say the same shit. You all sound retarded, but we're the brainwashed ones.
Exactly.
It doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
And my wife had to physically get off the thread because it was just physically impossible to debate or argue with 30
They don't
people.
reply to you.
No.
They don't even say.
They just call you names. They're calling her names. They were
Exactly.
they continue to call her names. And then for me, like I had gone through this once before. I tried, but then it just becomes like, am I gonna like basically saturate my time all day arguing with these fools? And so you just get off. You just get off. It's not because we quit. It's not because we can't debate them because we're killing them. Just because you don't have the time. It's a fucking Saturday or Friday. You got things to do. You just can't do it. And so but it's frightening to see what these people who listen to these media networks like ABC, CBS, NBC, and we can go down the line with all the cable ones as well. But this is what they believe because they get their information from nowhere else. And this is something Sal and I have discussed from the very first podcast.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the podcast numbers, fucking some people are getting in the billions of downloads per year now. Yeah. That blows away your fucking 100,000 viewers you got on a fucking Tuesday.
Sal gave a great, and I didn't know this, he I think on 2 podcasts ago, he said that the highest ranking CNN report or broadcast
about 1 million.
Gets less than 1 million. Yeah. That's mind-boggling, people. That's almost embarrassing. It's 1 million.
Horrible. MSNBC's got better numbers than they do,
and they suck too. Yeah, exactly. But CNN is on every. Listen, if you guys know anything, you go to any hotel, any airport, any public place like hospital, anywhere. CNN is on everywhere. You go to a diner, usually it's on. How the fuck could you have less than 1 million views of personal, TVs around the country? We have 350 million people in this country, or something like that. But 1 million less than 1 million. So that just goes to show you that
people are tuning out.
Yep, and I think it's going to get worse. For them,
without a doubt,
for them,
it's going to get worse because the advertiser's going to bail.
And MSNBC's next. They're next. Yeah. They're probably sliding as we speak. But people are getting fed up.
All of them.
All of them. Even Fox probably.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Even Fox has, to some degree, has this really weird vibe going on where they're pushing, like this guy Shepard Smith. He's pushing his liberal agenda. They're bringing some other people in. And listen, I have no problem with someone giving their opinions. It's fine. The problem is when you have these jerk-offs who can't even back it up with any type of fact. Because listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. We're going to talk about the next story, and we're going to put this to bed. We just want to kind of talk about the Russia-Trump thing, and we're just going to mention this briefly, and we're not going to go into it. But go ahead.
I want to talk about the media first.
Go ahead. Talk about
it. They got to be paid off at this point. Mm-hmm. When Trump was saying drain the swamp as in DC, I feel like drain the swamp also to me meant get rid of this media bullshit or get people in the media positions that are going to tell the fucking news, tell the straight middle of the road. Well, it would be best for Americans as a whole if we took this stance. Yep. Not fucking, the liberal ideology that they spew or the right-wing nut conservative ideology that they spew, whatever it may be. Well, but I feel like they've got to be paid off.
They are. Point. It's been proven. Yeah. And the wiki emails, and listen, I know there was 300,000 emails. Obviously, I didn't read them all over the summer. Was it? I think they were over the summer last year, or no? A couple
20,000.
Right. I read a lot of them, and one of the wiki emails that Julian Assange put out was basically, I think 30 or 35 high-profile network people were invited somewhere, and they're paid. It said it right in the email. They're paid, and what they were what they had to be done every day is every day someone would call them from the DNC and tell them what narrative to go with that day. And it's weird because how come if you go watch it, and I don't watch a lot of it, but in the past, I always would kind of glance over there and kind of see what their thought process was. But why is it that they're always talking about the same things? Like if I'm the president of MSNBC and Sal's the president of CNN, I don't want to go with the same story he has. I want to differentiate ourselves, and I want to be better than his network because I want higher ratings, better talent, more revenue. So why the fuck is his station and my station, we're supposed to be mortal enemies, talking about the same exact thing?
Getting paid the same.
They're all getting paid. Yeah. And it isn't even anymore about having a good program. It's about giving their ideology and their narrative.
Yeah, it's about spewing sociology, basically.
Yeah, that's it. So with that being said, I'm praying that Sal and I will never have to talk about this again, but I don't think it's going to be the case, unfortunately. But briefly, Sal caught some of it today, and we'll get his opinion. But real brief, we're just going to mention the Jared Kushner stuff.
Yeah,
I saw briefly. I thought he did a good job. He didn't plead the fifth. Listen, here's another thing that bothers me about you liberals. How come your guys, and I can name a lot, the IRS, Lois Lerner, every person in the Clinton-Obama administration cabinet pleaded the fifth? Not one spoke. Comey even said he didn't remember some stuff, and he wasn't part of there, but he was part. Let's not bullshit ourselves. He was part of them. He was a branch of their corruption. But Jared Kushner went there and answered every question, and so did Donald Trump Jr. So go ahead, take it away.
Nah, he just, and what I like what Kushner said. I mean, even then, I don't totally agree with everything Kushner does. I don't like all his establishments and settlings that he does out in Israel. I'm not all for that stuff. But what he said was that the media paints the Trump supporter, the Trump voter, as just, a villain. And they treat us like what did I say to you? They treat us like we're low, like we're the reason for all these bad things happening. Like we're garbage. Like, yeah. And it's just like, that's not, you're telling half of the voters or, a third of the country that they're fucking what they think is stupid and wrong, and it's our fault that bad things happen, when in actuality it's all their fucking fault because they're the media. Like,
well, it's like what we talked about, I think, another 2 podcasts ago. Yeah. That's our group. They're attacking the group.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is. They attack the group because
it's easy.
Yeah, so
it's easy.
And then I don't know what it is. I guess we just got to stay vigilant on social media because we're not going to get any play on mainstream media. So we just got to keep it up. Yeah, keep the word going. And so now I want to kind of turn this real quick because this is another very heavy-duty, deep operative state story. And I got to thank on Facebook Monica Gio. Thank you, Monica. She sent me this. But there's a dude out there named Lee Stranahan, and he used to work for Breitbart. And then Breitbart was killed, I think. Of course, he died. He's a young man. He was out jogging, and he ended up dead. No one knows how he ended up dead. It was probably another, murder on the Clintons, because Breitbart was a really good investigative journalist, and he was a sharp dude. But here's the story with Lee. We talked about 6 podcasts ago about this chick named Ali Chalupa. Ali Chalupa is a Ukrainian American who started, and it's been proven, it's fact. It's in wiki emails, and it's also was part of an investigation. She was the one who came up with the Russia-Trump narrative in a meeting. And so what happened was this girl now is working with Ukraine. And McCain. Yeah, exactly. Like this scum. Well, he's gonna die. He has brain cancer, but he's still a scumbag. Listen, they'll transport in some Filipino boy, give him his blood, and exactly, and he'll be fine. He'll live for another 30 years.
But he was in charge. She was in charge of when she couldn't get anything on Trump himself. She was in charge. They targeted Paul Manafort at the time, so they were going after Paul Manafort. Never found anything on him, and the Ukraine said they had a dossier on Paul Manafort, a dossier that would incriminate him. So he resigned. Now, I don't know why he resigned, but he did. That's neither. I never spoke to the man. I don't know anything about him. But after there was some investigating done, the Ukraine, after Donald Trump won the election, they retracted the dossier, so they never had it. So they just lied. So this guy, Paul Manafort, who I don't know at all, he basically was, and here's the problem with this stuff, people. Let's think about this. When you do this anonymous accusations on a basically very large political scale where the country sees it, if that doesn't frighten you, because here's the example I'm going to give you on a smaller level. To me, this is like going up to someone who you don't like, who you disagree with, and saying, you rape little boys, you're a pedophile. Now, if this person goes and says this against enough people, now this person may have done nothing, but once you label somebody with such a horrific tagline, that person is fucked, even if he did nothing wrong.
Yeah. Word of mouth could spread so quickly,
right,
on social media.
So what they do is they pick the most despicable thing you could accuse somebody of. And listen, if there's no proof, because here's the deal right now, people, the way it is in America, the DNC and the liberals want to convict you of a crime or indict you on a crime and then find all the evidence later.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand.
It happens every day. And that's a scary thing, people, because that's not the way America judicial system works. I mean, innocent until proven guilty. Is that not our mantra?
Yeah, no, it's every court is a fucking kangaroo court.
Exactly.
They all are.
This is what third world countries do, people. This is shit that's done like in the dregs of South America, like El Salvador, where, you know, they don't like someone, or Venezuela or China or North Korea, where they don't like somebody. I don't like Sal, so I accuse Sal of a crime. We arrest him, did nothing wrong, and then we just say afterwards, oh yeah, he did it. We know he did it, and there's no proof whatsoever.
Yeah, then he's in jail forever.
He's in jail forever. He killed one of them. But this is what's going on.
I mean, that's what the goal was with the socialism, man.
Absolutely.
They're trying to create the two-class system to just get the most people that they possibly could be poor, and then get as few people as they possibly could be rich, and then insert phase 3 or phase 4 of their plan, which would be wiping out all the fucking poor people and keeping just enough to serve them.
That's what they want to do.
And it's the sound of people like, oh, Sal, you are a fucking moron. Think this is, how do you been through the years of socialism? That is the goal of socialism. Absolutely. That is the goal of globalism. That's what their foundations are set up for.
That's what they
do. Take over. People don't fucking see it, and it blows my mind.
And we'll get back to this story, but to Sal's point, if you don't believe it, and if people think that, oh, what Sal's saying is so out there, it's so conspiracy, do me a favor, people. I'll just name a few countries. Anything in Russia pre-1950. Pol Pot did it all the time. Hitler did it all the time. Mao did it all day long. Castro did it in Cuba. Maduro is doing it in Venezuela as we speak. Chavez did it. This is what they did. And I can name another 10 guys.
The Venezuela thing is a great point because they're doing it ongoing right now. You can look it in the fucking TV.
Yep.
It's happening right in front of your eyes.
As we speak. And that's what they're doing.
And those people voted for it. They thought it was going to be better, and they got fucked. And now it costs $3 million for a piece of toilet paper.
Yep.
So
and they're starving to death. They are every day. If you look at anyone in Venezuela, these people are starving to death. They are fat. So, but here's another thing. So once I started reading this stuff on Lee Stranahan, I started poking around more, and I found some. I didn't know this. I don't think anybody knows this, but there's a dude named Milan Revere. He's Ukrainian American as well. It just coincidentally, he's Hillary Clinton's chief of staff when she was running for president. So now Milan Revere is working with Ali Chalupa, and he's working directly with the president of the Ukraine, who's a prime minister, I think, Vadashenko. And if you watch any of the Putin tapes or the Putin documentaries, Putin and this guy did not get along. And he's a bad man. So they're working with this guy on creating this false narrative. So what they're probably doing is saying, hey, listen, you help us, we'll help you when I become president, because that's what they thought. Yeah. And he went with it. Now, he played his cards. He's playing poker. He thought he had a pair of aces in his hand. Everyone thought Hillary was going to win. Well, guess what? He got shit burnt in the poker game because someone bluffed and called it, and they beat him because Hillary didn't make it. This guy Vadashenko got destroyed. So what happened then is you have all this damage control in the media. Exactly what Sal mentioned, where they're not reporting it. And there was this guy named Thomas Bunko out of the New York Times who was addressing this. But just interestingly enough, he left out all the critical points. And what he tried to do is tie everything back to Donald Trump. So we all know that the spin, the lies, the misinformation is like a swirling fucking tornado going around. And we have these people we spoke about who believe this. I
want to take it from another point now.
Shoot.
This is still calling libtards fucking idiots. If Trump could have pulled off this mastermind plan in 2 years to take down a Democratic National Party, which has been in existence for 200 years, this guy has to be a fucking genius, and he should be the president.
Yeah.
Because if you fucking people are that stupid and that arrogant, you should have no power at all. 2 years it took a guy to take your party down, and your party lasted for 200 years? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yep. And
Russia.
How many times can you hear? I mean, I don't know about you people. I am completely and utterly sick and tired of hearing this shit. I've been on this earth 51 years. I don't even know if I've ever heard a more annoying narrative in my life than this. I mean, back in the day, there used to be a guy, I think his name was Crazy Eddie. He used to come on a commercial. He was an electronics guy, and he used to come on and go fucking crazy, just scream for a minute. And I say, this guy's so fucking annoying. But these people are worse. It's a million times worse. And
it's Russia.
Yeah, Russia. But it's funny because I think Crazy Eddie got indicted for what do you call it? For embezzling hundreds of millions of dollars. So now I get where they're getting it from. They're probably pulling it from his narrative. But then there's something now. We could say if what they did was criminal, obstruction of justice, and like Sal mentioned, he's dead on correct. The cover-up is worse than the crime because there was something else done by Ali Chalupa. There's something called the Open World Leadership Center. This is part of the Library of Congress, which is a taxpayer-funded, supposedly unbiased organization. It's nonpartisan. And what happened was Ali Chalupa and Milan Rivera were using it to basically gather information that was false and figure out a plan to basically rip and crush Donald Trump.
Try to, at least.
So our taxpayer money went to doing that. So right then and there, that's an illegal act. I'm not an expert in constitutional law, but I believe it's a felony. I know it's a felony.
Sounds like some kind of coercion.
Yeah, it's definitely a felony. It's like this subversive, coercive stuff that Sal mentioned. So that's something else they were doing. Then we get into this guy. Now, I looked him up today. This guy is a bad man.
Who's this?
His name is Brett Kimberlin. He's a domestic terrorist. He's been indicted. He's a felon. He was convicted. And Brett Timberlin, we find that the DNC was funneling money through this organization he has. And you're saying to yourself, why would the DNC be scratching the back, rubbing elbows, whatever analogy you want to use, with a convicted domestic terrorist? No one says a word. Yeah. I saw the financial records.
I mean, there's no words to be spoken. It's obvious.
Right.
Fucking people are scumbag criminals. Like, anything they can do to try to cover up or fucking get ahead, that's what they're going to do.
And so now we have this guy involved. And let me tell you something, people. You will hear none of this anywhere except maybe Lee Stranahan's podcast and then the research I did along with Sal and I on the Red podcast. So now you have a guy now this is just complete craziness that the media, because this is a huge scandal. Huge. Because the Russia-Trump thing pales in comparison. Because there is absolutely, and I will tell, and we said this before, we'll say it again. On our last podcast, we challenged anyone to come on and give us some definitive information or facts on Trump collusion. We had one person who came on our podcast, won't be mentioned, won't have an aforementioned name, and we crushed him because he did not mention one factual. All this gentleman said was that he was scared of Russia. You'll see. That's what his. And go ahead, take it away.
Will see.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. There's no point even going
No.
further.
So that was it. All right, and then we have another woman that I uncovered whose name is Helen Farkas. And you say, who's Helen Farkas?
Who the hell is Helen?
Who's Helen Farkas?
Who is it?
She is working for the State Department as a liaison to Ukraine for Hillary Clinton Obama. She's not working there now, but she was.
Yeah.
And she's involved because she was having money funneled and had private meetings with these people. That's the State Department. That's supposed to be an investigative jurisdiction of our government. She's helping out the enemy.
But Russia.
Exactly.
Russia. Like, don't you feel it? Don't you see? It's getting worse for him.
You'll
see.
Yeah, you'll see. It's unbelievable. So we're going to keep an eye on this because this thing is getting deeper and deeper and deeper. I mean, we are into shit this high. And the scary part is no one is saying a word.
We have nothing. There's no facts. There's no evidence.
Nothing.
They have you'll see.
Yeah.
And then whatever they can fucking either make up themselves, you know, what's the word? Set up themselves, set the person up, try to make it look, you know, ridiculous.
Yeah. And
like, I'm sorry, I have to go back.
Go ahead.
I have to reiterate, if it took Trump only 2 years to take down a Democratic national fucking party, Jesus, look into yourselves, people. Look into yourselves.
Right. It's pretty brilliant if he could do it.
Right?
He's smart. He ain't that smart.
That's exactly like, I love Trump, but I can never give him that kind of credit
Nobody
in a million years because it's not true. Like, it's impossible. They did it to themselves. They refused to take fucking any semblance of whatever for it.
Sal and I were talking about this last night after we watched Game of Thrones, and we were talking about how this has been going on. This isn't this isn't a quick moving process. This has been going on for 40 years. I mean, 40 years they've been building this up, and it is just becoming, I mean, we know all these people now from doing our research. We would never know who these people were if we didn't. I mean, how does a guy like Barrington Winstonhurt or a guy like Klaus Eberwein, if you go onto CNN or MSNBC, I don't think they were even mentioned. The New York Times, I think, had them on page 20, and it was about an article this big.
Yeah, I was going to say they had the Barrington one. But it's real small. And they didn't, you know, it was nothing about what we're talking about.
Right. And on to build on top of that, I can go on. I mean, we've done it before. I can tell you in the last year a list, long as my arm. Monica Peterson, John Ash, Victor Thorne, as we mentioned, Seth Rich, Sean Lucas. These are top of my head. These are just people. There's other people that have been gone down too that I didn't even mention. Matter of fact, the guy who Seth Rich gave the information to, off the top of my head, I forget his name, he ended up dead. So there's way more than 10 or 12 people we just mentioned. There's probably 20 in the last year. Not one mention on any major news network. If you don't find that scary,
yeah, these people can get away whatever the fuck they want.
Pretty much.
It's wild. The truest gangsters this country's ever known. Yep. Not fucking Frank White.
No.
It's not fucking any of these people.
No, it's not.
It's not
Woody Bulger.
No.
You know, Whitey Bulger. He's got caught. I think wherever he is, he's gone. But so we're gonna keep an eye on that story. Now there was another story, and we got turned on to this on I think 3 or 4 podcasts from my buddy Giuseppe Joe Paldino. So Giuseppe, I appreciate it. He mentioned the Anwan brothers. You want to go into them?
Yeah, these Anwar brothers, I remember looking into them. Like, I've heard of these guys before, but it was like a while ago. Turns out these dudes were hired, Pakistani born, hired by Obama. So, I mean, in Pakistan, you're like one religion, right?
Yep.
Muslim. And these dudes never had any political anything. No political background, no political job, no political
They were
anything.
IT guys.
They were IT dudes from Pakistan.
No qualifications, meaning it wasn't like they were here working and someone said, hey, these guys know a lot about, they just brought them in.
And immediately
no clearance.
Stepped into a $180,000 job, $180,000 a year job in the White House. How the fuck does that happen?
Yep.
So, I mean, you can go into a little bit more.
Well, we just found out over the weekend that they got picked up. And interestingly enough, when they got picked up, they had Debbie Wasserman Schultz. They had her iPad, and they found all the servers from the DNC that were destroyed. And I think those were the Podesta servers that we talked about that he wouldn't turn up. Yeah. So think about that, people. Here we go. We got another fucking now. How anyone can even be talking now, liberals? Please, I beg of you. You're hearing stuff that we're talking about now. The stuff we're talking about, that sound I mentioned so far in the last 40 minutes or half hour, has all been factual stuff that we could reduplicate, we could talk about, we could show you. So come back at us. Talk to us. How is it? Are you this blind? Are you this mindless of a fucking drone that you can't see the forest through the trees? And you're going to say there's a conspiracy theory. All these people, 20 people dead in the last 12 months. It's fake. It just happened to be that all these people have ties to Hillary Clinton, and they all just happened to die. They all just happen to have, they're supposed to testify, but they just didn't make it because they died. Listen, every day in America, someone has to testify against somebody. Has to. That's the way the judicial system works. If I commit a crime on Sal and my wife is witness to it, she got to testify. She goes and does it. She doesn't show up dead. But every one of the Hillary Clinton people shows up fucking dead. And you're going to sit here with a straight face and insult my intelligence, Sal's intelligence, and everybody fucking here and saying that we're lying. We don't know what we're talking about. It's a conspiracy theory. Because honestly, after reading all this shit and doing the research, you are fucking assholes because this is going on every day. And it pisses me off because this is bad shit. And you as an American going to sit there and ignore it because of your fucking blind ideology. It's an embarrassment. You're a fucking idiot.
You got to really take a look into yourself. You really do.
Thanks, bro. It aggravates me because, and we hear this. We heard this last week. We heard this that, you guys mentioned that, you and Sal mentioned the Clinton body bag count. I couldn't get past it. It was a joke. Really? It's a joke. Take it away.
It's not a fucking joke. These are real people. People think because they see it on TV, it's a movie. It's not a fucking movie. This is real life.
These are people. Americans who've done nothing wrong ending up fucking dead. Yeah. Dead.
It's fucking scary shit.
Very.
And they're not, they're just trying to live their lives.
Here's the full count.
We got from our producer. Yeah. Deaths of 207 people, mostly from suicide.
Yeah. And just turn that around. Just turn that around and just show it if you want.
People, I don't know.
If you could see that.
We have to really zoom in here. But we can go deep into these, like people you never even fucking heard of.
Right.
Captain Kevin Ernest, Aldo Francisco, Barbara Wise, Colby Williams. These people probably, you never hear of in a million years, but all we're going to testify, all we're going to say.
Don't even know these people.
This goes from the 80s all the way to now. It's fucking insane.
It's just crazy.
Thank you, Miss Producer.
And these are just, and here's the thing, and we say this all the time. Sal and I care about people.
Yeah, we care about Americans.
Exactly.
Everyone in this country.
Because I didn't know them doesn't mean I don't give a shit about them. And
doesn't mean you should turn a blind eye either. You should actually look into it.
Exactly.
Like these people were working. Working.
Yep. Trying to do the right thing.
They're working and they're trying to do by their moral judgment. They got killed because they were trying to do the right thing.
And the little caveat to the stories, there were some of these guys who died who were not doing the right thing. They were the ones who committed the murders.
Yeah.
And they got whacked.
Exactly. Because they knew too much.
They knew too much. And they were
crazy.
testify. So it's completely nuts. But now this is the part of the broadcast.
Let's talk about him first.
All right. We're going to get into something. We're going to talk about.
We'll talk about this last.
Yeah, we're going to talk last about a speculation we have. And I didn't know nothing about this. And we'll talk about it. But right now, I want to get into this guy. He's the new communications director, Anthony Scaramucci. Didn't know a lot about him. I seen him before. He's a good-looking Italian guy from New York. He's probably a year older. I think he was born in '64. From what I see of this guy, I like him a lot. I think he was a great appointment. He's sharp. He takes things head on. Last night, I saw him on 2 interviews. One with Jake Tapper, who was trying to bust his balls. The guy didn't fold. And you know what he did? He said, Jake, you can ask me anything you want. Then he also was with Chris Wallace, did the same thing. The guy is going to be good for the campaign. He's a straight shooter. And what I love him, he said something that I loved because they were trying to bust his balls. And Sal and I were talking about this. 5 years ago, he was on, I think, MSNBC. He might have been on one of their, he's a financial guy. So he might have been on one of the things. And I think Donald Trump said something about his hedge fund. And he went back at Donald Trump and they were knocking heads. And he said something that I found hilarious. And we talk about this. Where we grew up in New York, New Jersey. Now, I don't know how it is across the country, and I'm not going to speculate. I didn't grow up anywhere else. I grew up here. But when I disagree with a person who's either my friend or even an acquaintance or even a business associate, we have respect for each other, but we go at it.
Yeah, you go at it hard.
We go at it hard.
You're trying to win the argument.
Yeah, and we don't insult each other, and neither did Anthony Scaramucci and Donald Trump. But here's the funny part is one of the reasons why Anthony said he was hired by President Trump was because he was that way. And he goes, I liked when you went at me. Now think about that. You idiots out there you liberals want to say that he's thin-skinned. He hired a guy who criticized him and attacked him verbally, and they had a verbal battle face to face, not behind each other's back, face to face. Twitter probably wasn't even in existence in 2012. It was very little. So they were doing face to face arguments. How can you not respect that? Yeah. Let's take it away.
That's great. No, I was thinking about that too. Like I was thinking about the headlines I saw today, because I see a lot. Well, because it's majority of headlines are liberal headlines. I was seeing, see when Obama owned Scaramucci.
Yeah, it was
shit like that, and it was just like, you see Stephen Colbert trying to, like, in Russia looking for the PP.
Yeah,
like, this is what they have now. This is all they got. It's so sad. They have nothing factual, nothing
pathetic.
real. It's so fucking sad. How can people even watch it?
But
I think the great thing is, I won't mention any names or anything, but everybody knows, because their TV shows were on Comedy Central for maybe one fucking show, and then they got canceled. It's spectacular. All these fucking idiots I was hearing on podcasts last year, especially. Oh my God, I heard so many people right before the election on podcasts saying, bashing Trump and saying he's got no shot. I've yet to hear a single word from them this year. And when they do come on, the dislike and the hate comments that they get on any podcast that they go, they don't realize that their anti-American sentiments will never be forgotten.
Exactly.
Never.
They think it disappears, but it's on record.
I'll never forget some of these motherfuckers, what they said.
Yep.
And they're not even that famous. So if we get more famous than them and we ever see them, I'll fucking tear them up.
Yeah. And there's another thing that Scaramucci did. In the broadcast I saw yesterday, he laid out a plan. And basically what he said was, we're going to eliminate these government leaks. He goes, internally, and I can't do anything externally, but if we find them internally, the people are fired. Yeah. I love that. Get rid of them. They're fucking traitors. They're treason.
Thing too, some of the questionable hires that Trump had too, they're thinking about leaving, which I think is really good.
Yeah. So, and listen, I have no problem. Sal mentioned some stuff to you real quickly, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, Vince Priebus is thinking about going. Tillerson
didn't hire him.
Wants to
he kind of came in.
Bannon's always been a fool, so he's thinking about bailing too. But the thing is, good riddance.
I'm okay with them.
Yeah, all three of them could be replaced and find better replacements.
Yeah, here's the thing. When you're a guy like Rex Tillerson, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a billionaire. He used to be. He's the CEO of Exxon.
He doesn't have the heart Trump has.
No, he doesn't have the heart. He's not into it. He's not in it for the battle. And listen, I'm not criticizing the guy. Maybe I wouldn't either. I don't think that's the truth.
Take a lot out of you.
Yeah, but I think he sees it as this. I'm a billionaire. I'm an old man. I could be on a fucking yacht somewhere with my family. I don't know if he's married. I don't know his social status. I don't know if he's married. If he's not married, I could be with a young girl. If I'm married, I could be with my wife. Whatever the case may be with my family. So I get it. He probably didn't look into this deep enough. He probably didn't think it was going to get this heavy with the media, because it's heavy.
I think anyone did.
No one did. I knew they were going to go at him, but I didn't think this is completely obscene and asinine. What's going on?
Flipped the complete script.
Yeah,
they're like, we're going to do this. People are going to follow us. And then it's like, oh, wait. Right. People see right through your bullshit.
Right.
Most people see right through your bullshit.
And the
best part is, I love it. The fucking polls failed these cocksuckers so much in the election, and so much before all that.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they lean on now? About everything. The poll shows this. This poll shows that. I saw it on the poll today. Lowest ever. It's like, oh my God. It's just like they think that we're stupid and we forget. Right. They think that we fucking forget. The election just happened 6 months ago. They think we're that stupid.
I got a smile on my face because I wasn't even thinking about talking about this, but Sal just brings up the greatest point is this, and I can get off it if you want, but think about this, people. The night of the election, when every state was going red,
and CNN
they were holding on. They were holding on like they were great, and they still were reporting that Obama. Now, here's the funny part is, I'm just going to give you. I was in a hotel that night. My wife was here watching it. She was watching Fox. Where I was in the hotel eating dinner, they had CNN's MSNBC on. I kept calling her. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, Trump's losing. And she's like, no, he's not. I go, I'm watching CNBC and MSNBC. And she's like, they're lying. And then when I ate my dinner, because I was starving, I went back to my hotel, put Fox, and I said to myself, holy fuck, they're lying. Like, they're lying up until the bitter end. Yep. Like, they are so crazy that it's happening in front of their eyes, and they're still lying. And
because they think American people are stupid.
Yeah,
they really do.
And that's why I'm laughing, because we remember all this shit. So How funny is it? Now, come on. Even you liberals or middle of the roaders who may sway from side to side, maybe lean more left, you don't find this funny that the people you're listening to who fucked up so bad on something so big as a presidential election had Hillary winning by a landslide. They didn't have her winning. I mean, if you watch any of those telecasts one day before, less than 24 hours, the election started at 9 o'clock that day and went till 9 o'clock at night. So 9 o'clock in the morning, if you saw those 11 o'clock telecasts on those stations, they were laughing. They were like, Donald Trump's going to, Hillary's going to wipe the floor with Donald Trump. He has no shot. He's a nobody. And you're going to sit here and tell me, and people have told me this. So Sal, that's why I'm laughing when Sal was talking, because they told me, did you see Trump's polling? He's the least favorite president of all time. Like, you fucking idiot! You're believing something that
if you were to believe the polls, you think Hillary's the winner still.
Exactly. I just can't help it. It's funny. This is funny.
It's asinine thinking. It really is.
And the scary part is, and I'm going to say one more thing about liberals. Liberals, Sal likes to say they have a mental disorder. I tend to agree on some of them. The ones who have jobs and that are I'm going to call them idiot savants. And what I mean by that is what they do on their job, they may be very good at, whatever it may be. So let's take Hollywood, for example, or music. You may have someone there who's very good at singing a song, playing guitar, going into a concert hall and entertaining somebody who goes on a TV show and acts a certain way. That's what they do. That's their idiot savant. Because when they get to talk intelligently on things outside of their expertise, they sound like fucking morons. Yeah, literally.
And then they can't back it up.
Nope.
So it's just like, so you basically just had to put your 2 cents in to be a jerk off.
Exactly.
That's what it came out to be. Because you sound like an idiot. So you came off as a jerk off.
When you really should be telling people, I'm not that smart, but I'm a great musician. So watch me play guitar. I'll entertain all of you. I'll collect all your money because we value that here in America. I'm going to make millions.
Entertainment.
God bless you. And I'm going to shut the fuck up about my political views. That's the way every of these people should be, because none of them know shit. They don't.
Really don't.
They don't. They come on, and here's what they think. They think because they're so loved for their entertainment value that we are just going to overlook the fact that they're anti-American, anti-president, and not even that. They're anti-deplorable. They're anti-conservative. So Sal brought this up in the beginning when he talked about the way they make us look, the way Jared Kushner said. Yeah. Entertainers do the same thing. Now, they think, I don't understand how they don't think that we are a large, very large portion of their entertainment dollar. And if you see it, it's hurting them. And I don't care what anybody says. It is hurting them big time.
Look at the movies.
Yeah.
No one goes.
No one goes.
Unless it's like a big.
No one goes.
Like Wonder Woman, which is a staple in America. That's an American classic, actually. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just remade, like shit like that.
Or like the one
people go like Dunkirk. That was another movie that like they're good, but that was all about America and shit like that. People want to go see movies like that. They don't want to go see you be a fucking.
I heard
whatever.
You know what I heard?
The comedian. No one wants to go see Robert De Niro be the fucking comedian.
Yeah, he's a
jerk off. You made no money on that movie, you piece of shit.
And you know what I heard about Dunkirk? This is hilarious. You're gonna laugh at this one. So a couple of liberals came out and said Dunkirk is not watchable because there was no blacks or women in it.
There's no blacks and women in the fucking
exactly. Thank you.
War.
Hey, thank you. So think about this, people. Think about how fucking ridiculous that sounds. That's like saying I'm gonna do a movie in Africa about African people in 1500. Oh my God, I can't watch it. There's no white people in it.
Yeah.
Fucking there are no white people in Africa. What the fuck? Like, this is what you're saying about that. It's so you liberals have this such skewed mentality of life.
I mean, black people and women were in the war, but they weren't at that battle.
They weren't at Dunkirk.
They weren't at Dunkirk, like Jesus.
So what, for your political correctness, you want us to change history? That's what they want. Well, they want you to rewrite that. They want you to rewrite the truth. They want us to lie. They want this person who I don't know who did the movie, but whoever that producer is, they want him to lie and put some blacks and some women in there when they didn't exist. That's because that's how fucked up they think. Wow. And a lot of them said it. I didn't hear one.
Yeah, no, a group of people. I didn't hear it, but I believe you.
Yeah, we're completely pissed off that there was no women and blacks in Dunkirk, and you just fucking laugh.
The same people that want to spread jihad, probably.
Exactly. So the last factual thing we want to talk about, and then we're going to get into our speculative thing, which I found to be fascinating. Sal knew this, so I'm gonna let Sal talk about it, then I'm gonna add it because I didn't know any of this stuff, and he's more up to date on this shit than I am. So I'm gonna let him talk about it, and then I think it's a great thing. And the one thing that Sal's gonna talk about is when I first heard it, it wasn't that I didn't believe him. I just didn't know. And then when he pointed this stuff out to me, I was like, oh my God. But that's gonna get into a second. But the last thing I want to talk about is Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller, who is heading up these investigations. He was just exposed for having, and I don't know what he did. I don't know if he had dummy corporations. I don't know if he had, sometimes they have these offshore accounts, these umbrella corporations, whatever you may call them. Of all these affiliations with the Clintons and Comey and all the people he hired, I think out of his 6 investigators, 5 have given a ton of money to the Clinton Foundation. So the men and women investigating Donald Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort, they are in the pockets of the Clintons. How is this even ethical? How is this not a conflict of interest? Mueller should be out. Fucking Comey, not even nowhere near this thing. All these people they assigned, out.
I think Trump is playing the card that he knows he didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
So he's like, investigate all you want. I think you're going to find shit.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So I think he wants to do it that way. But, I mean, I don't want them to fucking pin something on him that he didn't do and that he can't fucking say that he didn't.
It's like we said, you convict it, you get indicted on the crime, then we find the shit out late, or we make shit up. And they do it.
I don't want them to make something up that he can't, that he didn't see coming.
Hey, and listen, people, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't care if it's what you do on your job. I don't care if it's what you do in your personal life. I don't care if it's what you do anywhere. If someone tries hard enough, it doesn't have to be anything bad. They're going to find something on you. Who hasn't gone through a red light? Who hasn't sped over 35 miles an hour on a 35? I did it today. I mean, if that's what they're going to get you for, and they're going to get it. That's
what the guy on Fox News said. He's like, they're going to get him for ripping the tag off a mattress. He's like, they're going to find anything they fucking can to put this guy away. Anything. And that's kind of and that's kind of a sad state of affairs. And if any of you people think that's cool, then here's the thing: that boomerang can come back and hit you, and you could be the next target. You don't have that much money.
Yeah, and you don't, and you could be losing your job over that or something crazy. So, with that being said, I'm gonna let Sal get into this, and I'm gonna let him run it through, and then I'm gonna make my comment because I had known. Now this is speculative, but Sal came up with it from another research thing we were doing. We
were looking pretty hard.
I'm completely blown away, but take it away.
Now we're gonna lay, this is speculation, and it came out as fake news, but even though it's fake news, I still want to talk about it. The reason, even the fact that it came out as fake news and people are talking and tying it in to this situation is pretty unreal to me and pretty telling of the Clintons. We're gonna talk about the deaths of Chester Bennington and Chris Cornell. 2 good friends. They're very popular musicians. You guys know their band Soundgarden in Lincoln Park. Chester just died over the weekend, very sadly. He left a wife and 6 children. But people didn't know that these 2 were together in Haiti trying to help right after. And there was pictures and it's documented proof that these guys were there trying to, and that was the height of their popularity. That was right when Lincoln Park came out and they had tons of money. And you know, they went down there to do some good. And we know who was down there trying to help with their foundation, the Clintons. And so it's fake news, and it came out that Chester and Chris were really going to be strong advocates for human trafficking and child pedophilia and stopping it. And they had big news, and they were going to pump a lot of money into the foundations to stop it. I can't tell you which ones. Maybe what's his name?
It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, there's a few of them.
And they had, what I'm told is, what I research is they had a lot of information on a lot of people.
Yeah. And like, you know, they're pretty rich. They have pretty good means. So, I mean, when they say hanging, both of them hung themselves. Both of them did the same shit. I mean, the other fake news part of it was that Bennington was Podesta's son that he didn't know. I mean, look at the pictures. They look alike. I'm not going to say that's true at all. Right. Who the fuck knows? It's kind of creepy that someone put all this together and put it out there, even though it is right now fake and speculation. Just the ties, it makes you think a lot like, holy fuck, it's not just us that know this shit about the Clintons. People are out there talking about this shit. They know these people are corrupt and evil. And like, they're trying to like put it out there in a way that it's going to tie them in really big.
Right.
So, like, obviously musicians' deaths are huge. They go deep. Both sides love music.
Yep.
Say the same music. So, you know, maybe this is trying to open the eyes of some people.
It was weird because when I heard, I don't really didn't know much about, you know, Chester Bennington, but I know he was the lead singer of Linkin Park. But Chris Cornell, when I heard he died and how he died, I went and thought about it. I'm like, wait a second, it's kind of weird.
Both their wives said they would never fucking kill themselves.
Right, exactly. And he was supposedly performed that evening, and he literally was dead by 12 o'clock. I think he was done performing at 11:15 or 11 o'clock. And I was in a hotel room this weekend, and I don't know why I did this. And this is before Sal told me. I just thought it was strange. I'm like, I was in a hotel room in Chicago, and I walked around the hotel room. It was a pretty nice room, and it was a brand new Marriott. I walked around, and, you know, hotel rooms basically only have 2 rooms. They got a bathroom, a little closet, and then you have this big area where you kind of sleep and you eat or do whatever. And I said to myself, I walked around the hotel room, and I kept looking up, and I said, if I was going to hang myself, where could I do it? And I'm like, there's nowhere to do it. The bathroom, basically, all it has is a curtain. You can't hang on that thing. Things are going to collapse.
Like a man's weight, they at least both. I mean, they're skinny guys, but I'll give them at least 160 pounds.
I think Cornell was kind of a bigger dude.
Yeah, but I'll give them a solid man weight.
Like. So I couldn't figure that. So I don't know why I thought that was strange, and it was weird because I purposely did it because I'm like, and then now I don't know if this is fact. Now this could be fake. I'm not saying this is truth, but the autopsy report was originally reported that Chris Cornell had 9 cracked ribs, and he had head trauma.
Yeah, I saw the head trauma.
Okay, so now people think about this. If this man went on and performed until 11:15, I've had cracked ribs before in my car accidents that I've had. I ain't getting on a stage and singing a song. You
wouldn't be able to.
You couldn't even breathe. I didn't have 9 cracked ribs. I had 5. And let me tell you something. I could barely stand up. I was fucking in pain. I was hurting. And I have a high pain threshold. And so there's no way this guy's sick performing for 2 hours, number one. Number two is, wait a second. All right, so let's think about this. How did he from 11:15 performing, because he performed in the hotel he stayed. So he took an elevator up to his room. How in that 40 minutes did he have 9 cracked ribs? And now how? He got fucking bashed in the head. He got beat up.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot come out against that stuff. That is their bread and butter, is human trafficking and pedophilia.
Yeah.
So you take that away, they're done.
Yeah, and this is something that, you know, we're going to delve into, but just a matter of fact,
it's real fresh still.
Yeah,
I mean, it came out as a report, then it came out as fake, and then I even if it is fake to me, I'm like, the person who put this together is seeing the same shit we're seeing.
Right.
They just want to expose these fucking people for what they are.
This is not funny. I'm not making any type of joke about this, but the part that makes my mind tick is, and I went back and looked, and do you know that a lot of these men and women who died, if you go back, what do you find? You find pictures of them with the Clintons like this.
There's always pictures. Amazing.
Seth Rich, picture.
Or with the DNC.
DNC. These two guys, both pictures of them with the Clintons. John Ash, who was a UN, he was a UN delegate. Pictures with them. I can go on and on. Victor Thorne didn't have a picture. He had a picture with them, but they hated him.
But he came out.
Exactly. So these people were all, I don't know how you want to label them. Maybe they weren't friends, but they were associates, confidants, colleagues, maybe even just working together on a project. But they all, if you look and listen, people, we're all smart people out there. If you all look, I always say this, when you find someone who's an asshole and they say to you, I'm not an asshole, and I'm like, okay. And then you talk to 100 people they know, and all 100 people say, that guy's an asshole. Are all 100 people wrong, or is he wrong? Yeah. And 1,000% he's wrong. And so here's my thing, and my point of the story is, all these people are affiliated with Hillary Clinton. They all have ties to it. So are they all wrong? No, Hillary Clinton is wrong. She's the one.
And it's so, I mean, we voted, we saw it at the vote, and now they're still trying to claw their way, man. They're like, They're a sick kind of evil.
They honestly, liberals in America are the saddest sacks of shit I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, they're just anybody who. I mean, that's the term liberal. You don't even say it no more because not on the East. Because then people are just like, God, fucking pussy.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
No one wants to be around you.
Listening to them every day. Like we've talked about this before, and I don't want to beat it, but I can't even listen to them talk. It's basically it's comparative to not even a child, an infant. Like an infant who just wails all day, who might have like they just cry. And to see a woman do it, I'm not being sexist here, people. To see a woman do it is bad enough, but to see a fucking man do it is literally, you just know what I do when I see a man talk like this. I don't even want to have a debate with him. I just want to walk him and fucking crack him because
something like daddy.
I just want to fucking crack him, like bitch slap him because it's so fucking. I'm embarrassed. It's like we've talked about before. I'm embarrassed for them because. People don't act like this, whether you're a woman or a man. Listen, if you're upset about something, I have no problem.
Let's talk it out. Let's hash it out.
Yeah.
We can do it, and would there be no name calling, cursing?
Exactly.
People getting put down.
But it doesn't happen that way. It does not happen.
That's why we're the reasonable, enlightened deplorables.
Exactly.
When we're here, we have a little enlightened knowledge, and we're very reasonable, but
exactly.
we're deplorable.
And when we never personally attack any single individual. What we basically do is we talk about a group of people we call liberals that act a certain way, and we have proof of the way they act. We're not making this shit up.
We ain't the only one talking about it.
Right. We're not the only one. We see it every day. My wife has seen it. Sal sees it. I see it. We see it every single day, and it happens all the time. So this isn't something that we just come out and we make up a story about. I run into these people a lot, and it becomes a joke. People think I'm always making this shit up. I'm like, people, I'm not. This is what happens to me. And I think what happens is pretty simple. If Sal and I are out and we're talking to each other and we're in a close quarters of other people, you're going to have people who sometimes pipe up. They do, and it happens. And it just happens to be a lot of times where I go to this one specific place that they know as the coffee shop. A lot of the people that come in agree with me. And so we have a dialogue. And then you have the people that don't. And they kind of, but it never turns out pretty because they get, they get their feelings hurt.
Because we come at them with facts and reasons. And
exactly.
They come out with name calling and whatever they do.
What Sal said before, I can't do the, oh, that's what I feel. Watch, it's going to happen.
For me, this is the worst ever. I don't know if I can even go to work next week.
I'm just going to give you pussies. And then I'm going to let Sal wrap it up. I'm going to give you one last. And this is what someone said to me, and this is what I'm trying to say. They said the Trump thing is the worst thing that has ever happened to them in America. And I said, what's bad about it? Well, it's bad. What's bad? It's just terrible. What the fuck? Tell me. Don't stop giving me this generic bullshit answer.
You'll see.
You'll see. How is your life bad from Donald Trump being accused of colluding? How is it bad?
It's getting worse every day. You'll see.
What I think they mean is, what they really mean.
I hope something happens.
If you peel back the onion, they know this. Deep down, you liberals know this Trump stuff's bullshit. What you mean by saying it, and I think I finally figured this out. When you say all this stuff like it's bad, it's the worst thing ever, you're not talking about the Russia collusion with Trump because you know it doesn't exist. What you're talking about is that your person lost. Yeah. She got her ass handed to her on a silver platter. If you look at that map, it's all fucking red.
And that's the problem with selecting teams like that. You have to look at the actual shit, people. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I would have voted Democrat, but if she would have had some fucking strong points, something that actually rallied, she had nothing.
And she wasn't a criminal.
She had nothing. She had nothing. She wasn't a criminal.
And she wasn't killing people.
I'm saying if she had one thing going for her, I could have seen people like, oh, okay. But she had nothing.
They picked her team.
And they picked her anyway.
Yep, they picked her team.
Fucking ridiculous. And stupid.
That's what I think it ultimately comes down to, is that they lost. So whenever you hear someone say the worst thing, it's not the worst thing. What's the worst thing is that their person is not there. Our person is. And that's the worst thing.
Exactly.
That's the worst thing.
All right, we're going out.
All right, so with that being said, thank you all for watching. Sal and I are going to head out.
All right,
we're heading out with some Metallica, so
we're getting you this number next week to call.
Yeah,
messages. We're gonna post it midweek. We're gonna get it online. Everyone can call. Leave your messages, text.
We want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because it's going to make the show that much better. And we're going to love it because it's going to make it so much. We mentioned a few people. We gave a few shout outs today. We're going to hear from all you guys. And we'd love to eventually have you on.
Yeah, we call in. Maybe we'll get you even on the guest line. We'll call. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you guys want us to talk about. Because you guys, who brought us the Amor brothers? That was great.
Yeah, it was
Giuseppe was way ahead of the game.
Yeah, he was way ahead.
Way ahead of the
game. Giuseppe said this 3 podcasts ago, and nothing was happening then. Boom, what happens? So Giuseppe, props up to you. Giuseppe Joe Paldino. So appreciate it, guys. So Gabagool, Sal out. Have a great night, everybody. Peace. Dude, that was our best one.
You went fucking.
That was our best fucking one.
You went fucking crazy.
That was our best one, bro.
You went fucking crazy at one point, and it was all. You have to post this.
The fucking vein was like fucking popping out of my head. I drank your water.